Okay, I decided that tonight I would do my little sort of informational type video about our ratties. And so I brought them in here and gave them some treats, brought them, see, where is that thing? Where did I put it? Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, sorry. We often carry them around in, like when we're walking around, we carry them in these things. We put them we put them around our neck, and they like to, it's a good little bonding thing to use. We use this, we've used this with this sort of thing with all of our rats. Okay, hold on, baby. All right, hold on. Shh, they like to go in there and hide. Anyway, this is how I usually bring them in when I sit down with them. I bring them in here and I sit down with them and I put little treats in a container. Like they just got through eating some cornflakes, and they just kind of, especially if they're unfamiliar with you, well, whether they're unfamiliar or not, we do this all the time, but especially when they're new ratties, or like, let's say also particularly rescue ratties, which these were, and they are usually a little bit more timid than maybe ratties that you would get from a breeder, which our very first ratties that we got from a breeder. They were Dumbo rats, and they were they were so, I mean, one of them empty. Oh, sorry, I'll leave the fan on. And I didn't even need to leave the fan on. I completely forgot. Sorry about that. The first ratties we got, we named them Bella and Judith. And Bella was the absolute best pet rat you could ever have. I love all of the ratties that we've had, but she was the sweetest. She was such a sweetheart. She was like, I describe ratties as little handheld puppy dogs, and she was the epitome of that. She was so loving. She was very into people. You know, you'd go to the cage and she would come running out and she'd want to be with you, and she'd climb up on you, she'd get on your shoulder. My daughter would sit at the table with her computer, and Bella would be perched on her shoulder for hours. I mean, she loved people, and she was so sweet. And when you would hold her, she would just lick. She would lick you all the time, which rats often do. It's kind of a form of, grooming you. They, because when they do that, it's kind of like they're accepting you as one of their own. And, but Bella, poor Bella, she died pretty young. She was only about 9.5 months when she died. And she died of a respiratory illness, which most rats, well, yes, a large majority of, most rats, that's one of the most common things that afflicts pet rats here in North America specifically. They are all born with this, some type of, what is it? What are you doing? She just went crazy in my lap. They're all born with, I don't know if it's like, if it's a bacteria or if it's something. I don't know. It's called mycoplasm something. I can't remember the name of it, but it's some scientific name, and they all have it. And what happens is when it starts to become an issue, it causes respiratory problems. And so rats, they actually have very sensitive lungs. So that's why it's important to keep their cages clean, because strong smells can really agitate them. And so yeah, that's been the one thing that has taken most of our ratties. Some of them have died because they had tumors, and the tumors just got crazy big and ended up, they ended up dying from that. Don't you dare chew this. They like to chew. That's why a lot of times I have to protect my necklace thing, because this is made of something that can be messed up if they chew it. Hold on a second. Let me try to get this. Okay. Tickles. Okay, just a minute. I can't figure out how to get this thing. There we go. Get this off. Shoot. So yeah, they chew. Nothing is safe from a rat as far as, you know, them wanting to chew on something, because that's just what they have to do, that because their teeth are always growing, and it's just part of their thing. So be prepared when you hold a rat that they will chew your clothes. They will chew your chair. My chair has been chewed on by rats through the years as I've held them, because we first got rats in 2014. And also our dogs. You know, I've got the rattiest, no pun intended, chair in the universe. But I'm not going to get rid of it because I hold our fur babies in my lap when I work a lot, and there's no point in getting a nice new chair because it'll just get messed up, and I don't care. So I mean, I don't care about this one being in such bad condition because it's just the way it is. What else about rats? They like to steal stuff off my desk. They're constantly trying to pull things down off my desk. Sometimes they try to jump up on my computer, but I don't let them do that, because one time one of our little ratties jumped up on my computer, on my laptop here, and as she was walking on the keys, it was pinching her little fingers because their little paws and little claws are so tiny. They would get caught in the keys, and she started screaming, and I got her off really quickly. Yes, rats scream. I'm sure you've probably heard, you know, or seen videos of rats screaming or squeaking or whatever. They do that a lot, and well, don't do that. They're always making little noises, especially when they're like grooming each other. They're very social creatures. So if you ever get a rat, if you ever want a pet rat, you need to really have, at a minimum, 2. Don't get a rat that's by itself, because they need another, they need a companion. The last batch of rats that we had before the ones that we have now, we had decided, or, you know, I had kind of decided at that point, we really can't have any more right now. There's just too much going on. And so after this last one, after, you know, these last 2 pass, that's it. We won't have any more for a while. But I knew we wanted to get some more eventually. And it's really sad because what happened is the last 2 that we had, I think they were sisters, and one of them died. I can't remember what she died of, but the one that was left, and I had said to the kids, and all right, I'd said to the kids and also, you know, myself, that, well, when this one is gone and her sister is all by herself, she's going to be super depressed. So we need to give her as much interaction as we can. She was already on up there in years. She wasn't extremely old, but she wasn't super young either. Rats only live about 2.5 years. On average. Sometimes they can live longer, and sometimes they don't live as long, like Bella, and she died. She was not even a year. Anyway, so when our last rattie's sister / cage mate passed away, we held her and loved her and gave her all sorts of attention, but immediately she just went downhill. Like it was like she just lost all will to live. So they get really depressed if, you know, when they're alone. And it was very, what's the word I'm trying to say? It was very abrupt. It was very apparent. And it was really sad. She didn't last very long after her sister died. Now, it's possible that she had issues going on with her already. Like I said, she was, you know, she wasn't young, but yeah, it's like it's super important for them to be together, for them to have companions. So we have these 2. They're probably about a year now. We got them last October, so it's been almost a year since we've had them, and they were about 4 to 6 months at that point. One of them was about 2 months younger than the other. This one is Popo. She's our Dumbo. Dumbos are so cute, y'all. I love their ears. And this is Luca. I think she's the oldest one. She's also a little fatty. Not super fat, but she's bigger than Popo. Popo is currently sick, or she has been. The myco stuff is happening. And so I've been treating her with antibiotics. She seems to be doing much better. What else was I going to say? Shoot, there was something I had. Oh, Dumbos are the most adorable. They got the little ears that stick out to the side, and I swear they look like little tiny puppy dogs. Literally, they're so freaking cute. Oh gosh, that scared me. Hold on. What else? Oh, when you, they like to, I think she's trying to groom me. When they go through my hair like that, I think they're trying to groom me, because that's what they do with each other. They groom through the hair and everything. It actually feels really relaxing. When I'm holding them, it's not relaxing when I think they're going to chew on this, and I'm trying to keep it out of their way. But when I'm holding them, a lot of times, well, I can't be working when I'm holding them. I don't usually like to wear these when I have them on my lap, because they might chew them. I also have to make sure my cords are out of the way. One time I was working and my mouse suddenly stopped functioning. And one of our little ratties, not one of these, it was Judith actually. She was the one that was one of our first ratties. She had chewed through my mouse cord. Well, not completely through it, but she chewed through it enough to mess it up. So yeah, if you ever have rats, as you know, or if you're ever planning to get rats, you've got to make sure that nothing is around them that you don't want to lose or get damaged. Oh, they're very jumpy. They're actually they're not blind, but they can't see very well, so they can get really, really skittish. Just now, Luca got kind of a little freaked out when I did something with my hands, and she was like, whoa, what's going on? Ratties that have reddish or pink eyes, they're actually more blind than rats with regular, like the black eyes. And what else? They're always they have this social pecking order, and so sometimes they will get in these squabbles that can look pretty serious. When it happens with these two girls, I watch them and it looks like it might turn into something serious. I do something to distract them. You either like spray water on them, which I haven't done with these, but I have before, or like I'll smack the side of the cage to kind of startle them out of whatever it is they're fighting about, because rats they've got these vicious teeth and they've got these really sharp claws, and they could very quickly kill another rat. So typically the fighting that happens, it's not a huge deal. It's just they're doing some, they're trying to dominate each other as far as the social hierarchy. They're trying to be like the alpha or whatever. And so and it will go back and forth. When we first got these rats, Luca was a little bit of a bully to Popo. And now the tables have turned and Popo's the bully. She'll do stuff like steal Luca's food and things like that. When we first got these two, Luca has always been super, super friendly. She reminds me somewhat of Bella and another little ratty we used to have called Pixie, who was very, very, very friendly with people. Luca was super into people. Popo, not so much. Popo would tolerate you holding her and stuff, but she was quite skittish. If you would try to touch her, reach out and grab her, she'd try to run away. None of these have ever bitten us. These two have never bitten. We have had rats that have bitten us before. And one important thing to consider when you have rats, don't ever stick your finger through the cage bars, even if they're rats that won't typically bite. Because what might happen is they might think you're offering them a treat through the bars, and they might chomp on it and grab it thinking it's a piece of food, and it's not a piece of food. Sometimes I have had some ratties when I'm offering them food and they'll like take it and try to run off with it because they don't want any of the others to get it, and they have accidentally grabbed my finger instead. But they very quickly can recognize when they kind of chomp down on it. They recognize that's not food, that's actually your finger, and then they'll release. But still, sometimes there might be one that doesn't, and they take a chomp thinking it's actually a piece of food. So yeah, never stick your fingers. That's just kind of common knowledge not to do that with any animal in a cage, because you never know what they're going to do. Sometimes in a cage they feel threatened, and if you stick your finger through the bars or whatever, you're invading their territory. And rats can be very territorial when it comes to their cage. They can be potty trained to poo-poo in the potty, which Some of our rats have done better at that than others. These ones, they started off really good, and now they're just like, yeah, what the heck ever, and they just poop everywhere. And we pick up the poops and put it in the litter box. And then sometimes they'll do really good, and then other times they're like, nah. They pee everywhere. You can't really potty train them when it comes to peeing. So that's just always a thing. That's one reason why it's important to keep their cages clean, so that the ammonia buildup from the urine doesn't bother their little lungs. There was something else I was going to mention too. Oh, if you're holding a rat and they kind of walk across your legs, or they walk over your hand or your arm to whatever, to get to wherever they're going, and if they leave little dribbles of pee on you, that's actually a very big compliment. Even though it may seem gross, they're marking you as one of their own. So they like you and they trust you and they accept you. So it's good when they do that. Now I'm not talking about them actually just like completely peeing all over you. I'm talking about little tiny dribbles. It's like a marking thing is what they do. So these ones, yeah, they both dribbled over top of me whenever they walk across my lap or walk over my hand. They'll leave little tiny dribble marks. It's kind of sweet. And I know it doesn't seem like it's cute or anything like that, but it is actually sweet. Now give me my papers back. You're stealing my stuff. Yeah, they'll steal stuff. They steal stuff. They're little thieves. Aw, you missed it. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll put out their hand and then they'll yawn. And it's such a diva type look, the way they do it. Oh, yawn. It's so cute. Luca just did that just now. You didn't see her. She probably won't yawn. She wouldn't not yawn now because I'm holding her. These little girls are typically much more active than the male male rats. Male rats are generally more sedentary. We've never had male rats before, but this is what I've heard. They're typically more sedentary. And they're a lot more squishy and cuddly. They're generally fatter than female rats, because female rats they're busy. They're all over the place. And when I first come and sit down with them, they're running all over, checking everything out. And then after about an hour or more, then they'll settle. Don't you dare! I guess I don't care if you chew this, because this is a ratty shirt. But anyway, then after a while they'll settle down and go to sleep in your lap or whatever. But at one point we had up to, I think the most rats we had at one point was, thank you for the dribble, like 11 or 12 rats at a time. Because when we first got rats, and I'll get into that in a second. Anyway, we had about 11 to 12 rats. People would give us rats if they wanted to get rid of theirs. And we couldn't say no. So, we didn't feel like we could say no. So we took them in. And in the evenings, this was before I started working in audiobooks, but in the evenings, I would hold them. All of them. All 11 to 12 rats. I think it was 12, and it might have just been, anyway, it was a bucket load of rats, and they were all on my lap. And they were like running all over, and I was trying to make sure they wouldn't jump off the arms of the chair, but they don't typically do that. If they're going to jump anywhere, they want to jump somewhere where they're not necessarily going to jump on the ground. They might try to jump over here or over there. But they were up on my shoulders. Like I had maybe two up here on my shoulders and here. And I swear I felt like Ace Ventura in that scene with the animals when he's like, they're all on him and he's like, oh, that's what I felt like. It was so funny. But anyway, when we first decided to get rats, initially, my daughter wanted a smaller animal, like a small animal pet. We have dogs, and she wanted a small animal pet, and she wanted guinea pigs. So I was researching guinea pigs, and I made a post on Facebook asking, for input about guinea pigs, and multiple times the suggestion came up about rats instead. And at first I was like, I don't really care. No, they have the tails. The tails are gross, and all. That was like the first thing I thought. Their tails are actually quite. They're not slimy. I don't know if you can see very well. Sorry, this is disgusting, but they have little fine baby, like little peach fuzz on their tails. So their tails are actually, they're not cold, they're not slimy or anything like that. And they're really cool. They help them with balance. When you pick up a rat and it's kind of off balance and their tail goes like that, they're trying to get their balance. Sometimes when you hold them, they'll wrap their little tails around your arm. It's so cute. But so anyway, the suggestion about rats kept coming up multiple times. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? And then my daughter decided, well, that's what she wanted, was rats. And when we first got rats, you know, they are very much unfairly, like, people don't think very nicely of rats a lot of times. Now, a lot of people do, but there's also a lot of people that still have this idea, oh, they carry the plague and blah, blah, blah. It was the fleas on the rats that was giving it to people. They were biting the rats, then they were biting the people, but it wasn't the rats that was necessarily spreading the disease. It was people that were spreading it. They spread it because the rate of transmission was too fast for rats, the rat fleas to have done it all. So like, and a person would get infected and then they give it to somebody else and then it would just spread rapidly. But anyway, they have a very bad reputation because a lot of people think of them as very dirty animals. They're actually very clean animals. They are constantly cleaning themselves, you know, like how a cat does, constantly. Just clean, clean, clean. They, you know, they're always grooming themselves, their hands, they're grooming each other. So they're not dirty animals at all. You don't really need to give them a bath or anything like that. I mean, I have before, but they're not really fond of it. Most rats don't like it. And so we just don't really do that anymore. But anyway, after we got them, you know, not everybody else in our circle was on board with the whole idea. And so if you are a rattie owner, or if you plan to be a rattie owner, just be forewarned. I'm just going to forewarn you right now that some people can be very ugly about the fact that you have rats, and they will say things that are not very nice to you about your rats or about them to other people, you know, behind your back. I had a family member one time call them snake food, and that may seem pretty funny to some people, but when they're your pets, that's not funny. That's actually extraordinarily not nice to say that about your, you know, your pets. And so, yeah, some people are just have not been the kindest about them, but then there have also been other people that were completely like, they thought it was just the coolest thing because it was something different, you know, because not everybody has pet rats. But then there were also other people that, though in the beginning they weren't real thrilled with the idea, eventually as they started to learn more about them, you know, through, you know, the things that we would say about them and talk about, and the pictures that we would share because they're so cute, they eventually, you know, weren't quite so grossed out by the thought of rats. And so, you know, kind of like how I was initially at the thought of having rats. And for me, it was mostly just the tail. The tail was kind of a turnoff, but now it's like it doesn't bother me at all. Their tails are very, very important. And it helps to regulate their body temperature, helps to give them balance. And just quit stealing my papers. They're always stealing my stuff. Chew on them. What else? I'm trying to think of any other sort of trivia type thing about rats. Can't think of. I'm drawing a blank now. I've chattered on, and now I can't think of anything else right now. I'm sure I'm going to think of something after I turn it off. But anyway, if there are any questions that you guys have about them that I haven't, you know, brought up in the course of this video, just leave a comment and I'll answer whatever questions I'm able to about it. I've tried to share everything that came to me. I did not come to this prepared with an outline or anything, as usual. There, she's stealing all my stuff again. They pull my papers off my. I don't know if you can hear that. She's chewing on my paper. Those won't sharpen your teeth, hon. It's just paper. It's just paper. Anyway. Hey, say hi. And I guess bye, because I can't think of, I'm just, I was yammering and had all this stuff I was talking about, and then I can't think of anything else now. Aren't those the cutest ears? I mean, look, just look, aren't they so cute? Oh, I know what I was saying. I was getting ready to say earlier, when I'm working and they're in my lap and they're running around and they're kind of going up my arm and they're going here and they're sniffing over here and all this, and their little whiskers and just their movements while I'm holding them, it gives me some serious ASMR. Like, it's very relaxing. I don't remember if I've said this before in any of my other videos, but it's very relaxing. Just to have them on my lap while I'm just doing stuff on the computer. Typically, the work that I do on my computer when I'm holding them, it does not involve audio, just because I don't like to be hooked up to this too much while I'm holding them. Yeah, while I'm holding them. Sorry. Yes, I have held them before and have done videos, but that's not something that it takes hours of my time working like I do on an audiobook. And I'm very much aware that they're there, so I will be holding this out of the way or whatever. I can just focus more on the fact of what they're doing in my lap and try to protect my earbud wires. Whereas when I'm working, I'm so focused on work, I can't necessarily focus on what are they doing, what are they getting ready to chew on. So, but anyway, yeah, it's very relaxing. You know, just having pets in general, especially dogs or any type of pet that likes to cuddle with you, it is very relaxing, and it's a good stress reliever. And I do enjoy holding them. I don't hold them as often as my son probably does. He will often put them around his neck and hold them for a couple hours in the evening, because it is important to be social with them, to interact with them every day. So whenever we would go out of town to go see family or whatever, in addition to taking our dogs, we would take our rats, because we would, you know, I mean, it's not like they're going to go completely loco if you go a day without interacting with them, but it's not good for them. Just like it's not good for a dog to be without interaction with their human. Now, rats don't need as much human interaction as, like, let's say a dog does, but they still need it. And so we take them with us whenever, you know, we have to go anywhere for any extended length of time. But yeah, when you get a rat from a breeder, they are typically more socialized than a rat from a rescue. But that's not always the case. We've had some rescue ratties that have been very, very friendly and not scared of humans at all. By the time a rat ends up in a rescue and maybe adopted out to a human, so like, let's say rats from a breeder, from the time they're born, the breeders hold them, interact with them, and so by the time the rattie is ready to go to another home, they have been so conditioned to accepting the touch of a human and being held by a human, handled by a human, that they're not scared of humans anymore. They're not. You're one of them, and they're interested in you. You're going to bring them treats. They love that. But ratties that are in a rescue, many times they're older. And when I say older, I mean like a few weeks older. So I'll give you an example. There was, when we got our first ratties, I can't remember how old they were. They were maybe 4 to 6 weeks old, but they'd been handled their whole life. There was another batch of ratties we got right after we got the first ones that we had. We got 4 ratties from a rescue, and 3 of them were about 6 weeks old. I think that's what it was. They were either 6 weeks or 4 weeks old. Yeah, I think they were 6 weeks old. So they were still babies, but rats age very quickly. And then there was the one I named Pixie, who was very, very friendly. She was about 2 weeks younger. She had not yet developed a fear of humans. So she was very, very curious. You would, go to be around her, interact with her, and she loved it. Oh, what's this? And she would lick, and she would want to be with you all the time. And so that difference between her and the other three that were with her was quite, it was quite obvious. Now the other three that were more on the scared, skittish side, one of those was one of the first ones that ever bit me. And that was because she was scared. I made the mistake of poking my finger through the bar to like pet her or comfort her, and she turned around and chomped. And, she never bit me after that again. But, and she and her sister, because she had a sister, Sango and Mikasa, they were sisters. They were named after anime characters. And they eventually warmed up, but they were always kind of like they would rather you not hold them or touch them or anything. They were fine with being on your lap, but they'd rather not be handled too much. They would let you do it, but it wasn't their favorite thing. Then their other cage mate, who was also 6 weeks old, maybe she was their sister too, I can't remember. Was Asuna Mikasa and Sango's sister?
But yeah,
I think Pixie was not the sister. I'm recording.
Yeah, I know, but do they want this?
Well, they might would. You want to put pieces in here? Put a couple pieces in here. I'm trying to remember the point I was trying to make. You going to give them some?
That they were sisters.
Yeah, so.
Oh, you smelled the banana.
Yeah, she's like, what's that?
That's a blooper.
Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, offer it to her. She's like, oh, no, not that. No, not that. I thought you were going to give them some. You going to put some in the thing? Okay. So anyway, the point I was making is those three older sisters, Mikasa, Sango, and Asuna, they were always a little bit more skittish about being handled. Now, Asuna, she was a little fat gray rat. She was sort of, leery, but she would let you do whatever to her. She was very sweet. She was the peacemaker among the ratties. When there would be a squabble, she'd like try to get in between them and calm everything down. And I remember one time she got her leg hurt. I think she must have got it caught in a bar or something, and her got all swollen. And I gave her some ibuprofen, liquid ibuprofen, and had to stuff it down her face multiple times. And it was terrible because the amount I had to give her to make the swelling go down, it was quite a lot. But she was just like, she didn't like it, but she just put up with it, me stuffing that syringe in her mouth. And just after a while, she just got this poor dead look in her eyes. But it was for her own good, and it did help her. It made her get better. But I don't know why I specifically brought that up. But that's one of the things I think of when I think of Asuna. That was really sad. I felt so bad. But so yeah, that was the point of that, was just to demonstrate that just those 2 weeks age difference, the comparison between them, it was very obvious that Pixie was not afraid of people, and she was completely cool with people. And Asuna, Sango, and Mikasa, because they were older and they had not been. Oh, that is a lot. They're gonna make a big mess. Oh yeah, she tries to stuff as much food in her mouth as she can. How is she going to get it in my hair?
Where are you going to put it at?
You need to come in. I shouldn't have given her this on my shoulder. She's going to try to eat it on my shoulder. She's probably going to get some in my hair.
Food.
You get her?
Good night, Susan. It's hanging.
Oh,
it's hanging.
Eat it on my lap, little girl. Here. See if she'll.
She's going to get even fatter.
Now, before she wouldn't have done that.
Who?
Popo.
She got
Before, she was so kind of scared of being handled. So before, if you would hold her and offer her food, she wouldn't take it because she was scared. But now she's gotten so much better. She's used to being handled that I held her up like this and she took it. So I'm going to put this down here for them. They're going to get so full. Anyway, so, yeah, I can't. Is there anything else you think I should bring up, Arturo? I can't think of anything else.
Did you talk about Bella's death?
I did talk about her. That was terrible, y'all. That was so sad. We had to put her We had to put her down because she was
She had
just her
pneumonia,
lungs
dang.
was that was awful. I'm still sad about that.
Judith.
I still miss her.
Judith.
I talked about Judith chewing through my mouse cord because it was Judith that did that. No. No, maybe it was it Judith or Sky? I thought it was Judith. I think it was Judith. It was one of the white ones.
Yeah, I think.
I talked about how they can be potty trained and different things like that.
Crazy stories with the fact that that time Ollie was holding Judith and she was licking and squeaking at the same time.
Oh, well, I have told some stories, but it was mostly just, I was trying to do like a informational type video. So I think I've covered just about everything. I can't think of anything else.
That they're adventurous.
Well, the girls, yes, the girls are adventurous. I mean, the guys can be too, but
they have fights.
Yes, I talked about the fights. Yes, they
Pixie,
do that.
We talked about Pixie, how she survived her pneumonia.
Oh, so little Pixie, the one that I've been talking about before, she got pneumonia, which, like I've said, a lot of them will get it, and when they get it, they don't always survive. But Pixie was something else. When she got sick, I was really sad because she was the one I named, and I remembered what had happened with Bella, and I was sad about losing Bella because she was so sweet, and Pixie was very sweet as well. And she was so bad off, I had to separate her, put her in another cage. She could barely move around. You know, I'd have to give her food and water like up to her face, and she just had no energy. And I just was giving her medicine, and for the first few days, I thought for sure she was going to die, but I don't remember when it was she started to improve. It was less than a week.
Looks like she wanted to get out of the cage.
But yeah, so one day I go, she's in her cage, and this is when I knew she was going to be okay. I took the cover off the cage because I kind of kept it covered so she could be, she could have, so she wasn't too disturbed. I took the cover off her cage, and she was hanging from the top bars of her cage. And I was like, I think she's going to be okay. She was a resilient little thing.
We put her in with the others, and she was still kind of like breathing.
Yeah, but she was much better by then. So anyway, well, yeah, I could tell a whole bunch of stories, but anyway,
they have their own personality.
Yes, they each have their own personality, and they're just great little pets. I mean, they're pretty easy to take care of. You just got to keep their cage clean. You got to make sure you feed them pretty well, and be careful about the type of bedding that you put in their cage. I think it's pine is dangerous for them, so you shouldn't get anything that has that in it. Stuff like that. But yeah, I can't think of anything else. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug on this one, you guys. Later.